You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hi, Carrie. Welcome back to another episode.
We're here.
I was trying to kick off with woohoo. I've had a couple people message me that they're really missing us on the off weeks.
I know.
Who would have thought that people would miss us and our babble?
And I don't know, but it's true.
Are you shocked by this?
We have testimonials. We have testimonials to prove it. We do. I think it's shocking, but the schedule is definitely better for us. So we're sorry. Yes, we're sorry. Maybe one day when we have more time.
Yes.
Probably not.
Maybe. Yes. When we have time and we're ladies of leisure and we're sitting around eating bonbons and putting our feet up. Maybe.
Golden Girls, aka Golden Girls.
Yes, exactly. Do you know that I'm like the same age as the Golden Girls were when they started that series?
That's awesome.
Oh, yes. Makes me feel
There's
old.
all the stuff on TikTok now about how the younger generation is aging, right? But how the younger generation is looks much older than the generation before
in the
them.
middle. Oh,
mm-hmm.
See, I think we're looking pretty good for our age. Like I remember when my parents were my age, they were old. They were old people.
It's all perspective, though. They probably weren't. It's kind of like in high school, we thought this one teacher we had. He was like when we were in grade 9 and grade 10, he taught like law and something else. Then he was very, very animated character, and we probably thought like back then. We thought he was like 67, like probably past retirement, but he just loved to teach. Like he's still around, and he goes to my McDonald's in my neighborhood and drinks coffee with all the seniors. Like he was probably like just a mature looking like 45-year-old back then. Like, I'm sure he's older now. Like that's been a long time since I was in grade 9 or grade 10.
Oh my gosh.
Back then, like we seriously thought he was like past retirement or a couple years from retirement, like our grade 9 and grade 10 goggles. Like we thought he was just some old guy. And like I said, he's still around, and he's been retired, I'm sure, for a long time, but he's part of my McDonald's club. I go over there, we say hi to him.
That's hilarious.
Drop some of the names. I don't think he remembers me, but I can drop some names from my high school class that he remembers. The troublemakers and the ones that whatever. But yeah, I think when you're younger, you have different goggles on. I'm sure your parents didn't look like they were 70 when they were 50.
Well, I don't know, but they were old people.
You thought they did.
But you're right. Like that I also have at the mall near my house. There's a group of older men, and they used to go when I was like in high school on a Saturday. Their wives would go do their shopping, and they would sit in the food court and have coffee. Well, I guess now they're all, and I used to think they were old back then, but they're still doing it. Like now they're just retired, so they're there pretty much every day. But yeah, so you're right. They were probably in their 40s or something back then.
Yep.
Oh. Anyways. So I don't even know how we got that topic.
I don't know either.
We do that all the time. But
we're about the Golden Girls.
Oh, that's right. But this week we're talking. It's not Disney talking. It's not Disney we're talking about.
I understand that.
So I booked a trip. It's been a while since I've been to Universal Studios, and I loved Harry Potter when I was there. I thought it was great. It looked very cool, but I had no concept of what any of it meant because I've never watched the movies, read the books. Like everybody talks. I'm probably like the last person on earth to watch any of this stuff or even entertain it, because I posted in my group the other day, like, if I'm going to watch a movie, which one should I watch to get the gist? I just want to get the gist of it so that I know like what some of it means. And I think I really am.
Of comments.
I did, and there wasn't. I don't think there was anyone that said I have not seen any either. I think the most somebody said was I've only watched one or two and I didn't like them. But there wasn't like a whole revolt of people coming to my defense to say they've never watched them either.
Exactly.
And I didn't realize, Carrie, you were like a theater person. You went to the theater to see these things. Like you were
Read the books, and then everyone that came out, me and my mom had a date, and we went to go to the theater to see them because we were so excited. It was a long time ago. Like I was like, yeah. The books came out when I was like probably in my like maybe I read them a little later, but I remember waiting for the new books to come out. So like in my early 20s is when the books came
really.
out. Like I read them not long ago, and then they started to make all of the movies.
See, when I talked to you about this a little bit, and when you messaged me, I thought, I kind of thought this was going to be like our similar Marvel thing. Like I thought, how we're both a little clueless about the Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
You
no.
you grasp it a little better than I do, but
No, that was debatable. Depends on, if you
but
ask me, absolutely. If you ask anybody else that I've ever had a Marvel conversation with, they'd be like, she's a bozo.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
Capital B.
we're shamed all the time for our Marvel knowledge. But then I was a little shocked to know that you had all this Harry Potter knowledge.
I don't have like it's not on the top of my mind, but like I drank the Kool-Aid, and I was definitely like really into it, like really into it with everybody else back then, except for you.
Except for me. I feel like I'm like alone on this island.
And it's funny when you posted that, like, oh my goodness, I like sat on my hands because I was gonna do like 10,000 like roll eye emojis at you in your comments. I'm like, that's not very nice because I looked and people were like, oh, watch this one and this one, watch this one
Everybody
and
was
this
being
one,
very
watch this
helpful.
one and this one, and I was like, oh no, I'm not saying nothing because there's gonna be emojis like you wouldn't believe. And then but then I was like, oh my goodness, I kind of feel like now I know how Jamie felt when we were going on about Avengers. It's kind of the same thing. Like I was gobsmacked. I'm like, you think that you can watch one Harry Potter movie?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
I guess you can get the gist of it of knowing who the few first main characters are, but
Yeah.
it's gonna take more than one.
Like Carrie. So I did. Yeah. So yes, you were like when Jamie rolls her eyes at us about Marvel, you are now that person in this conversation.
Not really, no.
But I did watch one. I watched one last night in preparation for this podcast.
The very first one.
The very, very first one. And it was good.
Podcast over. Goodbye, folks. Don't forget to leave a review. We love you. It's really important. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, but nobody told me, like, why are these movies 2.5 hours long? Like, honest to goodness,
Oh my goodness. That's that's the way the later ones are, I think, go into the 3 hour mark.
Good Lord. So that's definitely not a selling point for me because like I don't know, my attention span is not that long. So I got to admit, the beginning of the movie, probably the first 20 minutes, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm really into this." But by the end, I was like, "Okay, I could have done without all that bit in the middle. I could have done without like there were parts where I was just like, "Okay, like let's chop, let's get going here."
I think it'd be interesting to know how the generation that read the book and like followed along and enjoyed that versus like if a younger generation, like if you threw those movies in front of a 10-year-old now,
Yeah,
like
what they would think.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. But the movies get longer, and the movies get like you
longer.
think the time span between, I was trying to like pull it up, like the difference in time between the first and the last, like how many years or whatever. Like the last ones are like crazy. Like it was sort of like, I think the timing of when CG, was developing and getting crazy. Like the latter movies are just like maybe now if we look at them, they're laughable. I haven't watched them in a long time. I'm sure they're not. But like, but just what they did, like like as the movies went along, and they like just how they portrayed them, and it was unbelievable. Like,
Really?
yeah, they're very good. They're very good. Like, and
So
I think I don't know, like we read the books and we couldn't wait. Like we we had the books and then we were waiting for all of the movies to kind of follow so that we could see it. We could see it in that form. Yeah.
okay, so I watched that. So I feel the need to say spoiler alert because we're going to talk about specifics, but it's what's the point? Because if you haven't seen them by now, maybe you're never going to, or maybe I'm going to change your mind and you're going to go watch them.
Oh, good
Um,
grief.
or you just, yeah. So spoiler alert, we're going to talk specifics. But
Harry
so
Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The philosopher, is it the
yes,
Sorcerer's Stone's the first one? Is
yes,
that what it's? Yeah, okay.
yeah. Um, so I will say there was parts of me that I almost wish I had never been to Universal before while I was
Really?
watching it because there were parts of the movie where I wasn't necessarily paying attention because my brain wanted to think about what I'd seen in the parks.
Oh,
So like when they did the train, I was like, "Oh, I get that."
been
Now
on that train.
I've been on that train and now that part makes sense. Or the three quarters, like the 9 3/4. I'm like, because it always seemed like such a stupid thing at the parks. I was like, I don't understand why there's like this 9 3/4 place. But now the 3/4 makes sense to me because of the movie. But you know the thing that messed me up the most? The big dude's name. Um, oh,
Grid.
Hagrid. And I actually at one point wrote it down next to my couch because every time he was on screen, why are you laughing?
You dude, carry on.
Okay, well, because
You had to take notes while you were watching it.
I wrote it down because every time he was on screen and they would
You
say
couldn't
his
remember.
name, I was like, "Oh, Hagrid," and then my brain would go to Hagrid's bikes or whatever the
Hmm.
thing. But
His ride.
in my brain from Universal, Hagrid's was a place. So I was very confused by Hagrid being a person. So that just like
Oh,
that messed me up. So I could like his name would not stick in my head. So I actually wrote it down on a sticky note next to the couch while I was watching it. And then of course this morning I've forgotten it when I'm talking to you.
that's the
So
best.
that was very bizarre to me because my brain had just always assumed it was a place, but it's a
Because you
person.
didn't know that Hagrid's was a person. You thought it was just a
No,
place.
I thought it was a place. And the same
That
with
makes
this
sense.
muggle thing.
We're muggles.
this I had no idea. I thought so yes, that I was kind of like it was almost like my brain was exploding with information that just made things click.
That's cool.
If that makes sense. Like now I totally understand why the two places are in two different parks. I totally like because I always just assumed Universal did that to make you go to both parks, which I'm probably sure there's a reason for that. But why they look so different?
Hmm.
Now I understand. And the wand and how the wand store. So every time they were saying things, I was like, oh, now the store makes sense. And how they walk into the wall. Like that whole nobody can see or hear this, but Carrie is like dying of laughter while I'm talking. And I'm actually,
I want to go to Universal with you.
yeah, you might have
You'd be
to
like,
because
ooh, ooh, ooh.
it all makes sense. But there was no butterbeer. Why was there no butterbeer in the movie?
It's to come.
Ugh. So,
There's
okay.
lots more to come.
Oh my
Like when you
gosh.
go, when like again, I watched them like long time ago, and I maybe watched them again later on, but it's been years and years and years. But like I loved reading the books, I loved watching the movies, but it's been years, so I am far from a Potterhead or whatever they call the people that love Harry Potter that much. But if you and I never really thought of it or put two and two together till like the last time I was at Universal. And again, we don't go on the rides, right? Like a lot of those rides aren't for us. So we just like I look around, and And
Right.
last time I paid a lot of attention to detail. And if you were like in deep and liked Harry Potter as much as we like some Disney things or whatever, like it is it probably makes like Easter eggs like a million of them. Like the whole place is nothing but every little detail of Harry Potter. Like you, like your head would explode if you were like, it would. It's paradise. It's Harry Potter paradise on Earth. Like that's like you going the ahas and seeing all that stuff. Like I can, like it almost makes me want to read them again and watch the movies again, so that when I go, I could see like just how we see all the little Easter eggs and things that get us excited about Disney. Like that's there times 10,000 in those two lands. Like every single thing that you see is in the movies or in the books and has a reason. And us will look and we'll be like, oh, look at that store. That's cute. That's whatever. But like the Harry Potter person will be like, they'll do that, but then there's like 10 other things behind it that is just like
If you're really into it, you
if you're
know.
really into it, like it is to that degree of detail. Like it's redonkulous, and it kind of made like last time I was trying to take pictures of everything so that I could close up and like look back at them and kind of think about them or look at stuff, and it made me want to kind of deep dive in again because I was like, maybe I want to be that person that gets excited because the sign that's on the wall, like I really understand what it's there for or whatever, right? Like how accurate it is
To
to
the
to
movie.
follow along to the books and the movie. So,
Well, because you would have watched the movies before you were in the land.
oh
Like
yeah,
there
yeah,
was a
for
big
sure.
delta in timing. So and for me it's happening backwards,
Hmm.
which like now I'm kind of like, okay, so in the first movie, Hagrid gets a dinosaur or a what's it called? The do they call him a dinosaur? No. The fire breathing thingy, the baby
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He gets not a dinosaur, a dragon.
The dragon.
Oh, dragon. But he gets a baby dragon. And now I'm like, oh, so that must come in later movies that this baby must grow up to be the one that sits on top of the thingy. That
Yeah, I
that
don't
sits
know.
on top of the doohickey in the park.
It's just
Because I was
dragons.
waiting for that sort of moment, but then I realized that it's got to be like that. Those lands in the park are from all the movies, not just
Yeah,
the one that I watched, which is why everybody was giving me grief about you can't just watch one.
yeah. Well, and I think like for me, if I go in, like I know the main characters, I know the main, like I know why certain stores or whatever, and I know why they have certain things, but that's it. Like for me, it's like the stuff that I remember is just the basics. Like I know why there's the, Honeyduke store. I know why there's the wand store, and I understand that basic stuff. But like that's where it ends for me. Like I'm not the one that remembers all the minute details and geeks out over it. And I think
Mm.
if you watch the movies, you probably if you watch them all now, which you probably won't because it's going to take too much time, then you probably would understand the land like way more than me because you would be fresh in your mind all the details and stuff.
Well, that was why I
So,
kind of wanted to watch it so close to my trip because I thought, okay, maybe some of this stuff will stick in my brain and I'll remember it. But now even the last time I was there, I think we ate in one of the quick service places, and then it made sense to me. And what is a hogwart? And because I couldn't figure
go
like
for
what is a hogwart, and what is that? What's that game they play? Quidditch.
Quidditch.
So I finally saw what a Quidditch game is. Um, yeah, it was. You know what I really, so the beginning of the movie where he's with his aunt and his uncle and the cousin, like I need him to go back there. Like, so you need to tell me, does he go back and do you see him get back at them in later movies? Like, I want to see that kid, like the little boy, the cousin. I want to see him get his comeuppance. I mean, he did kind of with the snake, but yeah,
Yeah, I think he does. Like again, he does go back. I just don't remember where or when.
there's so many
'Cause I think
movies
he
though,
has to
Carrie.
go
Like
back.
it's
Yeah,
if they're
he
two
has
and a
to go
half
back
to
because he
three
has to
hours.
go back. He has to go back because that's where he has to be when there's no school or whatever, right?
Right. So that was the end of the movie yesterday, was they're all getting on the train to go back,
So
quote
the next
unquote
one
home.
starts him probably being back at his aunt and uncle's, maybe, if I
Right.
remember. Um, yeah.
I like the story. So I got so if I'm honest, I was enjoying the story. I'm a little worried about watching anymore because I don't know if I've shared, like, I'm a big scaredy cat. Like, and more so about things that are not real. I don't know why, but I have just
I'm
like
kind
this,
of the same.
right? Like I have real fears about those things. And when he was doing the chess game and with the three-headed dog and all of these things, I was like,
Oh, the three-headed dog.
I should not be watching this before bed.
It gets way like not scary or like crazy, but it gets like again. And as the movies, like I said, they develop and they seem to be like more computer generated and like crazy that way. Then yeah, certain parts of it are definitely more like scary. I know I'm the same. I can watch like it'd be pitch, I'm sure I've said this. I could be sitting in my house pitch dark all alone watching like a documentary on a serial killers and go
Yes.
right to bed. And
Yep.
I'm afraid of dinosaurs.
Same. Like the three-headed man or like the weird things like that. Like it freaks me out.
It's your imagination. Um, we know what you need to do when you go to Universal, like now that you've watched the movie, is that you for sure have to walk through the castle. Like don't go on the ride because it's probably going to make you feel yucky, but you need to walk through the queue of that ride.
Oh, this is the
Hogwarts
one.
Castle.
Yes, I think I've been on the ride years ago. But I obviously wasn't impressed because I didn't know what I was looking at.
You need to walk through it now for sure.
And just walk through the queue and then use like the
Hmm.
chicken door or something.
Yep. Or go on it if you remember if it did. Just because it moves and it's 3D too. So like for me, I'm
Yeah.
moving and it's 3D, so it doesn't make me feel very good. Like it depends if you're okay
I'm
in
not
Star Tours and stuff, then you'll
I'm
probably be fine.
not.
But for me, like I went through when I went was there with Glenda a year and a bit ago. She went on it and I went through the queue and it wasn't very busy, so we had the queue all to ourselves. We could stop and look, but it like you have to see the queue now that you've seen the movie because you're in the castle and it is awesome. Like it's worth walking through and doing the
The
chicken
chicken door
exit. Like yeah, yeah,
at the end.
for
Where do I
sure.
get out
You
of
have
here?
to. You absolutely have to because that queue is amazing, amazing,
Really?
amazing.
Yeah, see, I don't remember the queue, but it would have been wasted on me because I'd never seen any of this stuff before. So I remember
Like
going
back
on the
when the ride
ride and
opened,
being
the
like,
queue was
meh.
all outside and into the gardens, and then you went into the castle and you were forever through the castle. Like I waited in that line way back in the old days. But when we were there, it wasn't very busy, so we pretty much could just walk through it. But yeah, you could walk through and take pictures if it's not so busy. If it's
Yeah.
then you could walk through and get lots of pictures and just see all of the details because it's very, very, very cool. Like I would walk through it every time and
I'm
chicken out.
excited to kind of go back and experience it now knowing some of it. But now I feel like there's so much more of it that I don't understand, which is
Oh
probably going to
no.
come in the rest of the movies. But like who has 17 hours to spend watching all these other movies?
Well,
Like
you just gotta, well, there's no rush. Just watch them bit by bit.
yeah. Like I did
Or
look
just
at the
watch a
second
couple
one.
more.
Like the second one, because I watched it on demand and then the second one came up, like, do you want to watch the next one? And I looked and it said it was like 2 hours 40 that includes the credits, but it said like 2 hours 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, forget that.
I think they got longer. And I know that like the last books, like they did in two parts.
Oh my good heavens.
Yeah. They were good back then. I need to maybe I'll do that over that. Like
Now
well, Christmases ago I did the Marvel Universe, and maybe this Christmas I'll binge watch the Harry Potter
binge
movie again.
binge the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, Fran, we gotta go get our robes and our wands and find out and
Well,
find out
now
what
all the
what
robe
school
stuff
we
makes
fall under.
sense.
It does. And
Yeah.
the sorting hat, you figure out which school you belong.
I thought that was kind of cool. That was
It
kind
is
of
very, it
cool.
is very, very cool. Like imagine
But it kind of
and ima-
reminded me of Encanto.
hmm. Imagine being a little kid like really into it and like watching that movie and being around that age and thinking
Yeah.
like I don't know like uh, when you were little did you not think about like maybe if you could go to a school in Switzerland and wear a uniform or outfit or be somewhere in an exotic
Go
place going to
somewhere else.
school
Yeah.
Like that, like I think if you were little and you and at that age and imagining like what they're, that story, and that's what makes it really cool, I think too.
What an
Then it
imaginative,
goes crazy.
but it's such an imaginative story. Like how it all starts with him, like what a horrible place he's living under in the cupboard under the stairs, like all of those things that these references that I'm now getting. Um, but what a thing for kids for sure. Like you have this horrible quote unquote life at home, and then he escapes to this fantastic place where he has all these great friends and he's a wizard and he has powers and like what a great, like it's a good story. I
Mhm.
just wish they cut out some of the scary bits in the middle.
I guess yeah, like yeah, Hagrid's and the dog and like and then the thumping tree or whatever it's called. I don't know if that's in the first one or like the trees like angry.
It's
But
it's a
or whatever it's
lot.
called. I'm sure Harry Potter people are listening to us going, "Oh God, here they go again. They destroyed the Marvel universe and now Harry
And now they're
Potter.
moved on to Harry Potter. Well,
Harry
even the bank
Potter."
train, the train where they go on in the bank. So now I
Hmm.
understand the Hagrid's thingy. I guess that's it. Um, it was
It's thingy. We're
I
so good
kind
at
of
this.
I know. I kind of like the third kid too. So I know Harry Potter and what's her name?
Hermione.
Hermione.
I think that was a little bit of Hermione and Hagrid.
It was like no, but the third boy. Um the
Hermione,
what's
Hermione.
what's his name? Ron?
Ron, yeah, Weasley, Ron Weasley.
That's him. Weasley. I like him. Oh
And
my
he's got
gosh, I
twin
love him.
brothers. His twin brothers. Were they in the first movie?
No.
Hmm.
Oh, I love him. I love him. He sticks around in all the movies, right?
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Last night, seriously, when they were playing chess and he said he was going to sacrifice himself so that Harry could go on. I was like, oh, I can't, if they're going to kill a kid, I can't watch. Like, I'm like, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. But then once he fell on the floor and then she ran over and he's like, you take care of him. And then I thought, okay, he's not dead. He's just
Did
injured.
you? What about was in the is the caretaker that has got the cat, like the creepy old
Yeah,
caretaker,
he's
and he's
there.
got the kitty?
He's got the cat
Yeah, I like that.
and now the owls and how the mail comes.
Now, do you get the owls? Why there's owls everywhere
Now I get the
when you
owls.
when I owls? If you go to if when you're in at Universal, you'll see like there's poop everywhere, owl poop everywhere. Like you look up and you see these pretend owls, and there's poop everywhere because the owls they
Oh,
gotta poop.
I
Even
didn't
pretend
notice
owls, they
that.
gotta make to make it realistic. They gotta
Oh
have
my
owl poop
gosh.
everywhere.
That's hilarious.
Owl poop everywhere.
See,
I wonder if some real owls come hang out there because they're like, oh, this looks like
look
a
at all
place to be.
this.
Look at this, you can poop and we can hang out, and there's other people here that don't say much, but
Yeah, it was interesting, like all the things that started to kind of make sense. And what's the big wizard's name? Um,
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore, that's it. Because it's funny, like if you totally have no perspective of what this is, I've heard all of these names and phrases before, even the music, like the
Yeah.
music that
Oh
gets really
yeah.
quiet, and I'm like, I know I've heard this
Oh.
before, but I've never watched the movie. It's not like I remember this from the park. Where have I heard this
Commercials,
music? It's
like
probably the
probably from
commercials.
commercials and stuff too.
You're right.
Commercial, and you probably have heard it if you were there.
But it's kind of like my
Sure.
brain was lighting up in different spots going, "Oh, there's a memory somewhere that's connected to this. You know something about this, but I couldn't quite place it all. Like the Dumbledore person and the
Professor Snape.
yeah. Yeah. It
I
was
like
just it was weird. It was very weird to watch a movie after you'd had all these experiences and heard so much about it, but didn't understand it. Because like I said, there were things that I thought were places who were people and people that I thought were places and it was very yeah.
I think in the first movie, like most of the characters are probably introduced, and then and then it's just their story and how they, and well, like
How it
most of them are,
evolves.
yeah, like all of his the schoolmates
Yeah, I didn't
and
like
everything.
that that kid, the Slytherin boy, the blonde
Slither,
one,
the
Slytherin.
Slytherin, Draco Malfoy, or whatever his name is. That Slytherin boy. We didn't like him.
I didn't like him, but I don't. But see, I think that's all the stuff they don't really get into. Like, why are there four different school like groups in the schools? And I'm assuming they all have rivalry between them that sort of you could see in the first movie, but it was kind of like it played out, but it didn't. Um,
I
yeah,
think in the other movies they probably even I like again, I don't remember, but I think they explain a little bit about the history of maybe the different schools in the
right.
school, like the but
It's it's
and
definitely something like if you have something that's like a big phenomena, like I don't know, maybe am I the only one, but something that's like a big phenomenon and everybody else has watched it, been there, done that. Even it was stupid things like Tiger King. If you've heard all this stuff before and you never watched it, go and watch it because it's so bizarre. Like, let me tell so in preparation for my Universal trip, I also
Mhm.
watched something different last weekend.
Hmm.
Despicable Me.
Oh, you haven't watched Despicable Me movies before?
No. And I
Oh
didn't
my
know that
goodness.
these cute little minions were bad guys.
Well, they're
They
not
start
really
the
bad
movie.
guys.
Well, they are. They work for the bad guy. I didn't know that this dude was a bad guy, and I
I
didn't
don't
know that his minions were bad guys.
think Gru's too much of a bad guy.
Well, I think by the end he's not a bad guy, but at the beginning he's a bad guy. And I
Right.
like seriously, I was 10 minutes into the movie and I'm sitting there and I thought, "Huh, who would have thought these guys were not good people?" Because they're cute little minions. I was completely blown away. The first probably 30 minutes of the movie, I was very confused because my brain wanted to think of them as nice people or minions or whatever, and whatever they are. But the movie was telling me they're not nice. It was very weird, Carrie. And that's kind of what happened with Harry Potter. My brain was telling me one thing, but the movie was telling me a different thing, and it was very confusing. Just FYI.
You're gonna be set. Don't this isn't the movie so funny? You gotta watch them. They're so funny. They're just so those little
I
buggers are
just don't
cute, and then
understand how there's so many of them.
they're minions. I don't know where they came from. They haven't
No,
told
no,
us.
not so many videos. I meant movies.
I haven't seen. There is a movie called the Minions movie, and I haven't watched it, so I don't know if that's if the Minion movie is their story, if it's
Oh,
their
if it's
backstory, where they came from.
oh,
I don't know if it tells us where the Minions came from. I don't think the movies tell us where the Minions come from, do they? I don't
I
know.
don't think so. No, well, I
But
only watched
there is
one.
a movie called the Minions movie, but I didn't watch it. I've just watched the Despicable Me, and the little girls are so cute.
I love the little girls. Do the little girls appear in the other movies too?
Hmm.
Like, did they
Yeah,
stick around?
yeah. It's his
Okay.
daughters.
Well, I don't know. Like she says it like these things, of course.
They're fun. They're good. They're good movies. They're really funny. You would like them because you could just giggle at them. Like
Well,
I think
I did enjoy that one. Like that one I did enjoy and it was a lot shorter than Harry Potter. So it kept my attention for the duration of the movie. Yeah.
that's funny. What else
Like
did we
what else
watch
do I need to
before?
watch before going to Universal, do you think to
I don't know. Like
and
when I go to Universal, I like my favorite part of the Dr. Seuss is the
I
Seuss
know.
land.
I love Seuss.
I like the merch. I like Dr. Seuss. I
Well,
like that land a
E.T.,
lot.
like all
Yeah, E.T.
I can't watch Jurassic Park. When
Very.
when it came out, probably the first when it came out, I think I saw the first 15 minutes of it. And then I was like, no.
I think
Nope.
that's why we're good, why we're friends because we're both afraid of Jurassic.
It's too
Um,
scary.
I've
Yeah,
never been on the Jurassic Park ride at Florida. I've been at the one at Hollywood, and I think the Hollywood one's been like kind of amped up with like better technology. But
right.
it's I think if the Florida one is like the Hollywood one, that's with less technology, then it's just a couple of animatronic Jurassic Park dinosaurs and a big fun water drop.
Yeah, I don't think so. You know me, like I'm going to be quite happy to just wander because it is a solo trip, so I'm just going to wander. Um
I think if you wander, like, and sort of what I realized last time when I was there, because I don't go on a lot of the rides, like, if you really like look around, like, there's so much detail and so many other things for sure.
yeah.
The
Yeah, and I
details
want to enjoy the
is
food too.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much there's so many little things to notice around the parks. Especially over at Universal, they have like the street scenes and the buildings, and
Hmm.
there's really a lot of neat stuff
And they have
to
like
look at.
Scooby-Doo.
They have Scooby-Doo, they have Hello Kitty.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
Yeah.
Like I'm
The Blues
excited
Brothers
for that.
shows, like they always have a Blues Brothers show. That's kind of neat to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of
Like there's
little
more than
things to
Harry
enjoy.
Potter,
Hmm.
but I still feel like I might need to get another movie under my belt before I go if I can.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Did you
try.
watch The Simpsons when you were
No,
like growing up?
no,
No,
I never
I didn't
liked
really
The
watch it that much
Simpsons.
either.
Andrew
That's what I
loved
find
The
another thing.
Simpsons.
Yeah, like someone that like grew up, like, people that grew up and they can relate everything in life to an episode of The Simpsons. I couldn't imagine what they would think of just walking around
The
going into
Simpsons
Moe's
land.
or going into the Quickie Mart or whatever. Like I couldn't imagine what they would think like seeing that for the first time. There were probably so many like inside jokes or references to things from that I have no idea.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Andrew
think of
loved
what
The
else.
Simpsons, but I never watched it. They just Bart Simpson got on my nerves.
Mhm.
He just his voice bugged me. Um yeah, see there are reasons we're friends, but there's something like this, like the Harry Potter where we're completely different. But
I'm
so
not
they
like
do
that.
get scarier, you think?
The movies,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I
Like
would say so, but just don't
let's
watch them before bed.
so I need to leave time between the end of the movie and
Like
like I need to
he who
watch.
shall not be named is creepy enough.
Well,
Villain.
here's the thing. I always thought his name was Voldemort, but there's
You
a
don't say
T
shit.
on.
He does say it. Because if
Well,
you say it, then you don't say.
I've been saying it
It's like
wrong all
Beetlejuice.
along. There's a T on
He's
the
like,
end.
you don't say his name.
He who shall not be named,
Be named.
which is funny.
You don't need
I
to worry if
heard,
there's a T. You don't have to worry if there's a T on the end because you don't say his name.
but I'd heard his
Do
name
you not?
before, and I'd also heard the whole "he who shall not be named" reference, but I had no idea that was Harry Potter.
Like he's creepy. Like that's scary enough. That dude, especially like later on when oy oy oy. Yeah.
So if I'm going to watch it, I need to leave like an hour after the movie to fill my head with some Three's Company or something before I go to bed.
Yeah. I think it just depends on your imagination. Yes, it's
Yeah.
fine. Like children watch these movies.
Yes. And your point is, children also watch Jurassic Park and things like that. I can't watch those
Yeah.
things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely really good.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I think I've
Good
got it
one. That was
to
good.
base.
You have you do.
I have a new appreciation. So now I need to try butter beer. Because I don't think I even tried that the last because you know me, like I drink water, tea, or beer. Like that's pretty much the extent of my not culinary, what do they call it? I don't know. Drinking spectrum. Whatever. So
I
I'm
prefer LeFou's brew myself
do
to
you? I've never
butterbeer.
tried that either. You always try different drinks though. You're like the person there. You walk into a place. I love this about Carrie, FYI. If you ever travel with Carrie or out with Carrie, you can walk into a place and they've got like some peach, mango, citrus grass smoothie, and she'll be like, "Oh, I'd like to try that." Like she will walk into a place and just pick up a drink and be like, "Oh, that sounds delicious. Let me try it." You have no holds barred when you go in and like you did that in the China Pavilion. I remember when we saw those juices at the very back and you were like, "Oh," and I was like, "But you don't even know what it's going to taste like." And you're like, "Well, I'm going to find out when I drink it."
Yeah. And whatever, if it's yucky, you get kind of cheesy, you spend the money on it, but like there'll be another drink to select
Yeah.
tomorrow.
But you do that. Like you try everything like that, which I think
Well,
is
I don't know about
fantastic.
that. I don't know if I'm that
Yeah, no,
you know,
you do.
eager to try new things, but
You do. I don't think you give yourself enough credit there. But so you like the
I
food better.
yeah. Yeah, to
Huh.
me it's like even the fact that it's called butterbeer. Like even if I thought it was I'm just like I don't want to drink something that's called butterbeer. But yeah, no, I like myself. But you can
Hmm.
get it frozen and you can get it warm, like warm butterbeer, and you can get it just
Why would
regular
you want a
butterbeer.
warm drink? Like I only like warm drink if it's tea.
Well, don't get the warm butterbeer. I would get the frozen one for me because you know me, I like slushy
You like
things. Like,
slushy stuff.
hmm hmm
Yeah. Okay.
and you better watch, like, because who's gonna drink it when you take a sip and they don't like it?
Well, yeah, I know that's the only thing when I'm there by myself. You're not there to take when I take a sip and I go, "Ugh," and then Carrie's usually like, "Oh, just give it to me. I'll drink
I'll get it.
it."
If you spend 450 on it, I'll drink the rest of it. It got 650. Just hand it over.
Oh my goodness. Now the chocolate frogs were very there was a small appearance in
Mm-hmm.
the movie yesterday, but they have those as treats there, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
But
chocolate frogs.
it's just a like is it just a piece of chocolate that's shaped like a frog?
I guess I never had one. I don't buy the treats at.
You're not yeah, because you're not a very big treaty person. But okay, I might
Yeah,
have
they
to
got
try the
frogs.
chocolate frogs and see.
There's all kinds of treats that follow the movie yet. In the Harry Potter universe.
Yes. Well,
Mhm.
it's very exciting. So I'm leaving when this goes live. I'll be leaving basically a few days later.
Exciting.
It is. And I'm doing a week at Walt Disney World first because, you can't go to Orlando without going to Disney because,
Technically,
like,
you can, but
but
why
why
would
would
you?
you? Yeah. So a week at Disney and then a few days at Universal before I come home. Yeah.
And where are you staying at Universal? You're staying at
Aventura.
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 I feel
So,
that's like the hotel that's really good for like, someone, a solo traveler.
well, that's what I'm
It's
hoping.
more mature,
It's
mature.
it's more mature. It
The
just
rooftop restaurants and
well, yeah, I've heard about this rooftop restaurant that I'm thinking, maybe I should give it a shot. Um, yeah.
nice to have yourself a beverage and to just ponder your thoughts
My
with other
thoughts
with other mature people.
with other muggles. Now I know it. I can call myself a muggle now that I know what it means.
Mm.
Yeah. See?
Like when I don't know if they do it anymore, but when I'm gonna get them mixed up which one's which, but when you're going into the one, like you're trying to find the Harry Potter area, like if you ask cast members outside, they don't tell you where it is. Like because it doesn't exist,
Oh,
right?
you're
Because you
kidding.
because the muggles can't get in there.
Right. Oh,
So
right,
like if
right,
you said if
right.
you were like just like Uncle Joe with the map and he's like I'm gonna ask that Universal Orlando person where the heck Diagon Alley is. They're like don't know what
We
you're
don't
talking
know
about.
because we
Yeah.
can't
They're
get
like, you're
into
looking for the
Diagon.
restrooms, they're right over there. So,
Ah,
because it's like you have
interesting.
to, yeah.
See,
Anyways,
I'm gonna
I
have
don't know
to
if they still do that, but that's what they did when it first
when it first
when it
opened.
first opened. Like that's the role they played on the outside. Um, you know, that
Oh
they
my
couldn't tell you where
gosh.
it is. So,
Oh, so much
mm-hmm.
fun. It's yeah. I'm
You can
looking
have
forward
lots of
to it.
fun.
I am. I'm looking forward to it for sure. And of
You
course, a
have
week at
it'll
Disney
be
because
interesting to hear your trip report from those from that part of
yes.
your trip. What you thought and what you ate and what you did and what you thought about your hotel,
Well, so that
all
my
that
trip
fun
report will
stuff.
be another not next podcast, the one after, because there won't be time to record in the middle. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, but I'm excited. Cool.
Cool.
Carrie, do you have
Mm-hmm.
pixie dust this week?
I do have pixie dust.
Oh, look at
I
you.
do. I
Fancy
do.
dancy. She's already prepared with her pixie
I
dust.
do. And I was excited that I remembered it. So when I like, because I've got a puzzling competition coming soon. You guys didn't know. So I've been trying to puzzle.
Here we go.
I've been trying to practice my puzzling so I
Yeah.
don't let Glenda down because she's always puzzling. And as I've been puzzling and practicing, I've been watching on YouTube this show from when I was young. And
Which show?
it's called Rags to Riches. And it was on in like the mid 80s. And
Rags
I
to
think about
riches.
it the odd time. And then and it crosses my mind and I can't really remember. Like I remember that I loved it and but I hadn't watched it probably in a long like since then because otherwise you couldn't watch it except for YouTube. And it was on in like the mid 80s. It was only on for a year or two, like a couple seasons, and it was about this rich man that he was a millionaire or whatever in the 50s. It takes place in the 50s and he's trying to like close a business deal, like ginormous business deal, like I don't know if it was for um like developing something or whatever, property or whatever. And he was trying to win somebody over. And they said, well, like if you look like a family man or whatever. So he went to the orphanage and he adopted these five girls. So this rich man
Oh my
adopted five girls.
gosh.
And it's funny, like the first episode is all this happening. And then like by episode two, they're one big happy family. Again, whatever or whatever. But but the show, so that's pretty much it. So they like these girls that were all from obviously different families. They some of them troublemakers. They don't really fit. No one's adopting them. They don't want to. They're best friends, and they're all different ages. They don't want to be separated. So every time someone comes to adopt them, they act up and are really bad so that no one adopts them and they can't get rid of them. And then this guy comes along and he takes the five of them. And so all of a sudden they're like, you know, misfits to being like the daughters of a millionaire. So that's rags to riches. So, anyways, but the show, like they sing and dance. And I kind of forgot about that. And as I'm watching them, like I've been watching them as I've been puzzling, and they sing like 50 songs and then they kind of adapt the words to like their scenario or whatever the episode is about. And it's got Tisha Campbell. Like that would have been probably one of the earliest things that she did. And she's still acting now and singing or whatever. And I don't know, like I love 50s music and Motown, like love it to death. And I think as I'm watching them, like I'm singing along and I'm thinking, I know why I like that I like I that might be why I like it so much. Like I would have been probably like 10 years old when these came out. And
Right.
and I don't know, like maybe I love them so much because of this. Like it just clicked. I loved how they danced. I love their clothes. I love the music. And I'm just watching them going, "Oh my goodness, like no wonder I love the like they like I remember being so sad when the show went off the air because to me it was like the
Oh,
perfect show ever. These girls trials and tribulations of being tweens and teens and whatever. I was probably the same age as a few of them. And the fact that they sang and I never like I didn't realize it like thinking back that it was set in the 50s, but in the 80s to the 50s, I guess, whatever.
right.
So I've been getting a lot of enjoyment watching these videos. They're very cool. So
That's so
I'll be
fun.
sad when the episodes when the seasons run out. But I don't think there might have only been maybe two seasons. I don't think there was too many, but I think it just popped up like Facebook, like a memory, when you
Yeah.
have all those 80s groups or whatever. And like a couple weeks ago, it popped up and I was like, oh, yeah, that's it. And I think about it the odd time, but then I never think to Google it
To
or to
see if
look
you
for it
could
on
watch
YouTube.
them.
And I did because I'm like thinking of stuff. I usually just watch my regular YouTubers when I puzzle, but I thought I need to find something different to watch. And so I've been watching those, and they're ridiculously silly episodes. But like the fact, like they always break into like two songs, and like they just perform, like they're mopping in the kitchen, and all of a sudden they're like, do, 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 and they're like, then they change it into different words, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I could just picture 10-year-old Carrie
Should be
being
all
like,
over it.
best friggin' show ever. And then I probably cried when it went off the air. Oh, isn't it
Oh,
the best? Anyway, so
that's
that's what's given me pixie dust. And I'm that's what I do when I puzzle now.
that's so exciting. I love that,
She,
like the 80s shows, those Facebook pages, the 80s Facebook pages, they bring up so
yeah,
many great memories.
they do. You remember certain things, and I'm so glad that that one came up when it did, and I started watching them.
Now,
There's
when is
probably
the
lots
puzzle
more.
competition?
In about a month.
Okay. And it's an
Hmm.
in-person one?
Hmm. Hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, I need to keep practicing. I think Glenn and I are gonna try to practice maybe tomorrow, get some puzzling in.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know she's puzzling all the time,
Well,
so I feel,
she's in
she just did
training.
she
She's in
just did, I
training.
don't know how many, did she just do an 8,000 piece or something? She just she's always puzzling. So I
Aw.
gotta pull up my socks. I gotta be a good, you know, number two to our duo. No pressure. Can't imagine what the
Oh,
puzzlers are going to be like now. Like it was, they were pretty crazy competitive puzzlers the first time. Like now that they've
yep.
experienced it and they've had time to practice,
Yep. You
we
two
just
are going
try
to
our
be
best.
awesome.
I don't know. I'm worried everybody's going to be skunking us because everybody's like crazy puzzlers, like competitive puzzlers now.
Please.
Everyone's like game on. We're just like, we just want to have fun.
Well, that's
I
the
hope
whole
all the
point.
teams have fun.
Yes. Everyone should have fun.
Anyway, so that's my pixie dust. And when I'm gonna find if my favorite episode, I'm gonna make you watch one of them.
Okay.
I'll find
I
once I'm
feel
done
like I
watching. Oh,
remember the name of that show and the storyline sounds familiar,
yeah.
but I can't place it. If there was singing and dancing in
Like
it,
you
I
probably,
probably
yeah,
didn't
you,
watch it.
oh, I loved it. Oh my goodness. Anything with singing and dancing. Oh, my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, I can't
I guess I don't know why I don't know why I didn't really like, I don't know why I didn't want to be like a theater kid or so. I guess I didn't like doing it
yeah.
myself. I just liked,
You like to watch it
singing
and sing
into
along.
singing into like a hairbrush or something. That was my limit. I'm like, no, I think I'd rather just go downstairs and color.
Yeah.
And then when no one's looking, pretend I'm Janet Jackson. That's what I I used to always sing and dance in my basement.
Oh my gosh. Janet Jackson.
Nobody watching. Oh, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was it for me.
Really?
I loved Whitney Houston.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
goodness. I thought she was the most beautiful thing I have ever laid my eyes on. Remember that video, I Want to Dance with Somebody? She had her hair all up in the big long. Do you remember she had the
Oh
big
yeah, yeah,
long,
yeah.
like her long hair, and it was all kinky and wavy, and she had like ribbons and things all in it.
She was,
Oh,
yeah, very colorful things in her hair, and
I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
was that song. Whatever one, but that video, I remember seeing that video and being like, "Oh my goodness, like who like I want to look like her. I want my hair to look like that." I loved Whitney Houston. I love Madonna. I loved all the 80s stuff, but yeah, definitely didn't inspire me to try to do the same. I just pretended. That's the 80s, right? Remember
Yeah.
this lip syncing, and what was that show? The Kid Pop, or what was it called? Kids Incorporated. The 80s was a lot of lip syncing for kids, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they'd have shows where like kids would just sing along and pretend to sing
And
to.
yeah, pretend to sing to things. That's what we
That's
did.
maybe where it all comes from. Like the
That's what
not
we
not
did
the
for fun.
inspiration, not the inspiration to be the performer, but just to pretend to be the performer. That was me.
Yeah,
I grew up. I followed suit and I did what I was supposed to do.
there you
Hmm.
go. I used
Kids
to pretend I was Pat Benatar.
Incorporated. Hey, I Kids Incorporated. Do you remember that show? A
No,
couple of years between us.
that
Is
couple of
That's a
years
big
really,
difference.
it's a big difference. It is because I'm talking about Pat Benatar, you're talking about Whitney Houston.
See, that's the thing. My sister would have liked Pat Benatar because she's
Yeah,
you're in between me and my sister.
right. Yeah, so Pat
Like Love
Benatar,
as a Battlefield. I
Blondie.
love Love as a Battlefield. That video where
Oh,
she's just her hair's all spiky. She's a little skinny thing in her jacket. She's like,
yeah.
I lip synced to that, but probably it was inappropriate. But my big sister liked it, so then I
So
did the
much,
same.
but that's the thing, Carrie. When you watch or you listen to some of the songs from back then, they were completely inappropriate for us to sing to. However, we didn't know what they meant. So, like
Yeah.
at the time when we were singing, we were just singing words. We didn't know what any of them
Well, I
meant.
think that probably is the same for the kids now. What they sing
Yeah,
along to is 1,000 times worse than what we sang along
I
to. And that was
know.
wrong back then. So imagine now.
I
Oy, oy,
know.
oy.
It's
Oh, oy, oy, oy.
crazy.
Okay. So
You
now that
think
my pixie dust took 10 minutes, as per usual, Maybe you should go first. What's your pixie dust?
Well, I thought about it, but I think my pixie dust is that I just booked this trip. I
Yeah,
think
last
I had
minute.
been talking about I need to get back, and then I think it was like a Monday, and I'd had an awful day at the unmagical job as per, and
As per usual.
as per usual. And I just thought, you know what? I gotta go. And I went online, I looked, can't use my DVC points. Shocking. They're
As usual.
as usual, they're like almost like a waste these days. I know my own fault that I booked so last minute, but whatever. So yeah, I went online and I booked it. I booked my flights, I
Yeah,
booked the
that's
thing, I
pixie
booked
dust.
everything in one day. And then I remembered and I messaged my boss and said, are you okay if I'm away this
I
but
think that's a
yeah,
special, like I know we book trips all the time, but I think that is pixie dust because you really, really, really needed to have something on your docket and you needed it to be sooner than later.
yeah. So it was basically like 12 days in advance I was booking.
Wow.
So yeah.
And you did okay flights too? Like you
Yeah, I did. You know what? I ended up paying more than I wanted to
well,
as
like
per,
not
but
crazy.
you know what? Like when you're going, I don't pay for a family of five. It's one person. So the difference between me getting a $500 flight and a $600 flight, it's $100. Like I don't have
Yeah.
a family of five where it's increasing by $500 or $600.
Mm,
Um,
for sure.
so yeah, and I ended up getting Air Canada and yeah,
My
which
fave.
I know it's your fave.
I
I
feel
like
like
WestJet
honest to
was like
goodness,
$800 for the same dates, like $800 or $900.
I
So I
think I
was
have
like,
a
forget
very
it.
unhealthy obsession with Air Canada. Like the last time I flew with them, they literally sent me home and told me to come back the next night, and then my flight was delayed for like 4 hours that night, and I'm like, love them.
Love them. Yeah, exactly. They did. You're right. They sent you home and said, come back tomorrow.
Don't even look at the prices with WestJet when I'm going to book a flight.
I
Just go
know.
straight to Air Canada. I don't know why.
See, and
That's not about me.
I try to book WestJet first. And then their prices were crazy for the dates that I wanted. So I was like, okay, let me look at Air Canada. And I looked, they're horrible flight times. As per usual, I'm flying down at like 7 a.m. on the Saturday. So I have no plans for the Saturday because I'll be napping in the afternoon or I'll be sick, either one. Because remember when we did the same flight,
Yeah,
that's what
have a
happens.
headache or something.
Yeah, so I'm planning nothing except get to my room, unpack, maybe go to Disney Springs, grab a bite, and then I'll be in bed by like 6 o'clock. Um, and then the flight home, Carrie, is like 6:30 a.m. Like it's
Yeah, that's
it's
nutty.
before 7 a.m. So I'm gonna have to get up at like 2 and be at the airport for 4. Um, which really burns my bones paying for a hotel for that night, but whatever. Um, yeah, but
Come
I'm
bunk with
hoping
us.
I could, yeah, I could. Because you're going to be there too, and we're actually going to overlap a little bit. We're going to get to see each other at least, meet for a cupcake and a drink or something. And yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be home by, I think my flight lands at like 9:15. So if it's on
Yeah,
time, if I can get home by like 10:30, I'm going to sign into work and not use a vacation day.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's not so bad. It's just the waking up in the middle of the night part.
That's the part that sucks, but whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's saving me a couple $100
Yeah,
because
your
if I
other
flew
option is to
later, yeah,
yeah, or really late, like us, we're home at the eight, like whatever, 8 o'clock. And if it's delayed, which it most likely will be, like I'll get
yeah,
home at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then that's gonna mess up my work day the next day,
yeah. And that's the
potentially.
thing I like about the early flights is they're rarely delayed. The first flight of the day is rarely delayed.
Hmm.
It's the ones as the day goes on that because of the plane coming in and all that different stuff, like that's usually, yeah, usually
Hmm.
the first one's okay. But I'm looking forward to actually getting to see you in person and we get to see each other in Orlando.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward
Be
to it.
fun.
Yeah.
Soon enough.
So we'll
Soon enough.
so we'll
We'll have
both
some
have
trip
trip
reports.
reports. Woohoo. That might be 2 or 3
No, not
episodes.
another trip report.
That could be 2 or 3 episodes given all the stuff we're gonna get done. But we do have one
Yeah.
more episode between this and our trip reports, I think.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. And yeah, if you haven't left us a rating and review, please do so. And thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.